On this episode of Healthcare Heartbeat, I'm joined by US-RN Jonilo. He is a Avant Healthcare Professional success story. He's going to talk about his journey. He's going to talk about the process. He's going to talk about his time with Avant, and he even has some tips for you if you're looking to become a US-RN.
You're listening to Healthcare Heartbeat, brought to you by Avant Healthcare Professionals.
Welcome to Healthcare Heartbeat, a podcast produced by Avant Healthcare Professionals. I'm Ross Herosian, your host. And as host, I am obligated to remind you to like, comment, and subscribe wherever you're getting this episode. I'm very, very, very excited about today's episode because I am joined by one of our many, many success stories. Jonilo, you're on the line. Hi.
Hello, everyone. Hello, how are you?
Oh my
Again,
God, man. It's great to have you.
thank you so much. I see it as an opportunity for me to, share what I've experienced, what a great experience I've had with Avant.
Yeah,
So,
we were so excited to work with you, to have you come on this episode because, throughout all the episodes we've produced, we've shared so much information, so many tips, so much information about this process of becoming a USRN, but you've lived it.
mhm.
So I'm really excited about our conversation today and, hearing your story and having you share your story. So I just want to say thank you from Avant, but I also thank you from everyone that's watching and listening to this, because I think they're going to learn a lot.
Yeah, I'm so excited to share my story for those people who are curious about the process.
So let's start with your story, where it started. When did you apply with Avant? And then when did you become a USRN?
You know what? Before I start my story, I feel like it was just yesterday, but it was a long, long journey. It was back in 2017. Oh, no, sorry, 2016. So, yeah, it's been a lot. For those people who don't know me, I live like 4 hours away from Manila. I live in a province. It's a rural area. It's kind of poor area in the Philippines, and my mom has a cousin who is married to a nurse working in the US. And this nurse actually worked under Avant. And this cousin I never heard of, I never met in my life, messaged my mom through Facebook because this person knows, oh, your son is a nurse, right? There is a agency going to Manila on how to go to United States. So at first I thought it was just really an orientation on how to go to America. And I was so curious. Of course, I wanted to have a better life. So I was like, okay, let me try. I went to Manila. I was wearing my t-shirt. I wasn't really prepared. And when I came into the hotel where they do the orientation, the I thought orientation, I was so shocked because people were wearing their best suit, best attire. Because that was not an orientation. It was actually an interview. And I was like, shoot, I wasn't really prepared, but thank God that time I brought one resume just to give it to whoever handles the orientation, and I went through the process, and then boom, I passed the initial interview and then went smoothly until I took my NCLEX exam. Uh, to cut the long story short, there was like 6 months review under Avant for NCLEX, and I passed. I feel like I cannot believe it until now
I
because
mean, it's a huge credit to you. Like,
Mhm,
kudos, credit to you that you
mhm.
did show up. You just
Yeah,
showed up in your t-shirt, in your whatever, one
yeah,
resume in hand, and you still you made it, right? Like that's not luck. I've had
yeah.
just a great opportunity to interact with you a lot prior to this recording,
Uh-huh.
and you're just like very committed, and I think that's the thing that I think a lot of people need to hear is, this takes a good amount of commitment to do this.
I think, yeah, I think commitment and of course your belief in yourself, that's confidence, and a good timing. I feel like I had a good timing to get this opportunity. And I'm a Christian, so I believe that God put me in this spot, in this position. You know, he he manages to make everything work on his plan, when everything's all the process is smoothly, and become a very success I don't know I become a successful applicant under Avant. And that's amazing. I really cannot believe it until now. Whenever I imagine it, oh my gosh, I was just really never expected that it is an interview. I thought really it's just an explanation how to go to America, because at the time I never had any idea how to go to America. I don't have any relatives, relatives that could explain me. I don't have any close friends that already went to America, so I really had no idea. So I just went
So
there.
you had never heard of Avant prior to this
No, never
family
heard.
friend, right?
No, never. I never heard of Avant. And then when they were like explaining things, of course, before your interview, we are Avant, blah blah blah. This is our program. I thought it was a scam at first, because they said they kind of gonna shoulder all the process. I was like, I
I want
was
to address
kind
that real quick. I want to
of,
address that real quick because I'm actually kind of glad you said that. We have a lot of prospective candidates that hear about the services we offer, the things that we
mm-hmm,
do, and understandably, I think a lot of times their first reaction is exactly what you just said. You
yeah,
know, and I get it because it's almost a too good to be true, right?
correct,
This is like it's like what you're gonna I don't this is a
yeah,
little so I think it's really important, and this is one of the reasons why we spend so much time telling so much of our story and so much of the story of successful nurses like yourself
mm-hmm,
is that's not what this is. This is a legit service, and we understand. It sounds way too good to be true, but having people like yourself, real people like yourself
mm-hmm,
here to share your stories, I think is important because so many of our candidates, just like you, they hear about us word of mouth,
correct.
right?
No,
And
sorry to interrupt you, but
no,
back at
that's
the time in 2017, Facebook is not very booming. I mean, it's popular, but not as popular as now
correct.
back then. So when I heard when they were explaining about Avant's program, I was like, I was really skeptical at first,
Yeah.
because it's a great opportunity and you will not spend as much. I was like, maybe this is not real. That's what I
So
thought first.
did you when you went home, did you contact that family member friend, or did you like do research? What did you do after
Not
that?
to be honest, I not really. I did not contact, because I kept it to myself that I really kept it to myself that I have application going to the United States. I messaged that person when I already passed the NCLEX,
Oh,
because
really?
yeah, I don't want this pressure that people know that I have this big plans in my life. So I just kept it to
Yeah.
myself.
I understand that. It's
Mhm.
big, and there's a lot to it. So I can certainly appreciate kind of let me just kind of keep working through the process type thing. Well, you did work through the process. You were successful, and you're now a USRN. Can you talk a little bit about how your life has changed, and maybe
Oh.
even by extension the life even of your family?
Yeah, my life has changed significantly, and I can't not even tell or just use a word to describe how my life changed and how my family's life changed. I am one of those people in the Philippines who are not financially stable. So my parents were both farmers, as you know in the documentary. We're not very rich. So when we had our we didn't have AC in our house, we struggle a lot with groceries. We struggle a lot with finances.
Mm,
That's why when I moved to the United States, I never imagined that my life will be as comfortable as now,
hmm.
and even my family too.
Wow,
That
that's
I could provide everything that they want to live happier and to live more comfortably.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned just a moment ago the documentary, and what we're going to share with everyone. If you're not familiar with it, we produced a documentary. We're going to be sharing a little bit about that later on in this episode. So stay tuned. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And what I want to talk about next is some of that documentary. So we're going to take a quick break. Stay with us. We're going to talk. We're going to jump in. We're going to talk a little bit about the documentary, and we'll be right back.
No words can explain how thankful I am for giving me this opportunity na makapagtrabaho sa United States kasi this changed my whole life. I promised to myself din when I was studying na I was born poor but I will never die poor. This is not just for me but also for the people who supported me, which is my family. So this sacrifice is for them.
So I'm joined by Jonilo, and we were just talking a little bit about the documentary. Jonilo, welcome back.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this documentary. So, why did you agree to work on a documentary with Avant?
At first, I was not really into doing the documentary because it's going to expose my whole life story and even my parents. And it kind of, my privacy is kind of an issue for this. But then I realized I want to inspire people and I want to use this platform to encourage nurses overseas, not just in the Philippines, that they have this potential and they have this good opportunity waiting for them in America. And I want them to know that going to America is not an easy process. That's why they need to find a good partner. And a good partner, I think, is Avant. And I trust Avant with the process and I trust Avant how they handle nurses. That's why I agree on this whole documentary.
Yeah, and it's incredibly moving. And I just want to say thank you for being so open and sharing your story and doing that documentary, because I do think it's important, that people hear the truths, if you will, of
Mhm.
the process. And you
Yeah.
mentioned your parents. What was their reaction to seeing the documentary and maybe even working on the documentary?
Now very excited to be part of this because they want to, like me, inspire people with the limited. Just want them to realize that with the limited resources that you have and I had, and for compared to those people who have more resources financially, if I was able to make it, then of course they can make it too, to reach for their
Yeah,
dream.
it really came through also, just the love that is very, very real among you, right? There were
Yes.
definitely some moments which we'll share a little bit later, but like your parents are I think so incredibly proud of you, and it shows. So um you know what was it like? So you did the documentary, you've obviously come to the US. What was it like returning home for the first time after being in the US?
Mm, I was extremely excited and I was extremely nervous at the same time
Hmm.
because when just for those people who don't know it, but when I went back to the Philippines for the first time, nobody knew again. I did not tell to anybody that I'm going back to the Philippines, and I surprised my parents because I want to make surprises always for my parents. And when I went back for the first time, I couldn't believe it. Like, oh my God, is this really happening to my life? Is
Wow.
this how blessed I am? Is this how, is this how good? Oh, sorry. Is this how opportunity can change your life? Things like that. It's just so surreal. I cannot even explain it. I was so happy, extremely happy. It's the coolest.
You you didn't just surprise them. If I remember your story, you kind of like pranked them. Is that
Yeah,
right?
I
Right?
pranked my parents. Yeah, I pranked my parents. Like I arrived there with my. I was covered with. I was wearing a helmet and wearing mask, so they couldn't recognize that it was me. And I handed a letter to my mom saying that she needs to go to a police station because someone is she's in a trouble, something like that. And she was so confused, like, what's going on? And then I took off my helmet, and then it's me, and then oh my god, and she cried,
Mm.
it's you, because she misses me so much.
Of all the letters to also give her, it's like, oh yeah, you have to go to the police station. That must
Yeah,
have been like a double relief that she didn't, the police
correct.
weren't after her, and now her son was standing right in front of her.
Yeah. That's what I really wanted to happen. Like she would have this kind of adrenaline. I mean, nervous. I want her to feel nervous, and at the same time, I wanted to go.
Yeah, you took her on a roller coaster. That's what you
Correct.
did. Yeah, you took her
Yeah,
on
that's
her
what
first roller coaster, maybe when you did that. Yeah.
yeah.
So
Oh.
you participated, did this documentary, but you've been in the States for a while, and you are very active and vocal about sharing your experience and
Mm-hmm.
talking about your process, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And we were chatting, and you mentioned you you're kind of like influencer status now. You had mentioned that you're getting recognized at places you're going. What's the deal with that?
No, I started a vlog on Facebook because I wanted to reach more people and sharing my journey in coming to the US, because a lot of them are very doubtful that they could be here in the US even though they are knowledgeable, even though they're
Mm,
skillful in nursing, because of the pressure or the misconception of the process on how to come here.
I
So in
see.
order for me to reach more people, I started a vlog. And thank God it's still surviving and thriving. I still have 58,000 followers. So hello guys.
That's amazing, and I think, that's why we've just really enjoyed, having, so many conversations with you,
Mhm.
and having you share your story because you want to help others,
Mhm.
and, I think the documentary was certainly, really eye-opening. So we've talked about the documentary, it's up on YouTube, so you can definitely check. I encourage you, if you're watching or listening to this, to go seek that, watch it. It's amazing. But when we come back, we're going to take another quick break. I want to share another video clip, Jonilo, with you, but also share it with our viewers. So, are you ready for that?
Yeah,
The
I'm extremely excited for that too.
the mystery clip, if you will. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
I'm from South Africa.
I came from a very far place, Lebanon.
I am from the Philippines. I decided to become a US-RN because I believe that the United States will give me more opportunity to grow as a nurse and also to earn more.
I chose Avant because it's a very professional company, including its program, very well organized.
We've been supported during the whole transition program. We're going to be supported at our place of employment as well.
Of course, I advise everyone, especially registered nurses in my country and every region in the world, start working with Avant.
Don't give up on that dream.
Keep on going. The dream will happen. Just believe in yourself.
Healthcare Heartbeat, a podcast produced by Avant Healthcare Professionals. I am honored to be joined by one of our success stories, Jonilo. Jonilo, welcome back. So I told you we had a mystery video clip here. We've really been following your story for a long time. And one that I thought maybe we should revisit is from even before the documentary. So if my producer could tee this video up, we're going to watch it together.
But my advice is for you to, of course, believe in yourself and have a good partner. When you decide to go to the United States, you have to put your full effort full dedication that you want to go here. You know what? I was born in a poor family, but look at me. I'm here in the United States, making my dream come true.
I think that was one of our first, if not probably the first video we had actually done with you, sharing your story. So this is like, you have been adamant about being just an amazing ambassador for this process. Kind of forget about Avant for a second, but just about the process. And we're obviously so thankful that, you know, you are really a great, just person to talk about your own experience with Avant. So, you know, I want to ask you this. Obviously that video goes way back. We did the documentary. This process took a while. Was it worth it?
Worth it is not enough word to describe this moment, you know, because I want people to realize that Avant is a great partner in achieving your dream, especially for those people who don't have much choices. I mean, especially for those nurses who are financially challenged, Avant is a great partner. I couldn't complain anything at all.
You know, now that you're here in the US, and you've had your life transformed, and by extension, it sounds like, you know, your parents' life and your family. What are your personal and professional goals? What's on the horizon for you?
Right now, I am focusing on advancing my career into something maybe managerial, because I want to touch people's lives, and I want to help those new nurses in developing their skills and career goals. I think that's what I'm seeing right now.
Well, you're diversifying, if
Correct.
you will. All right. I think you're just such a, you're a giver, right? I think most nurses, when you are a nurse, you know, it's an admirable job. And I think you are just the epitome of that. The fact that you want to go into management and help other nurses develop, and you're sitting down with us here and just to help share how you can help nurses, you know, advance or get to the US. You know, on that note, what advice would you have for aspiring nurses, maybe even a nurse that's sitting at home in the Philippines, like maybe you were? You know, what advice would you have for them?
I think if you want to achieve bigger things in life, you have to get out of your comfort zone. A process of going, for example, to the United States is not an easy process, and it's a very long process. That's why you need to start now. Next is believe in your dream, focus on your goal, never cease to pray, and ultimately find a very good partner, which is an agency that could help you achieve your dream. I think that's the advice I can give.
That's good advice. Jonilo, it's been such a pleasure getting to know you first through the documentary, and now sitting down with you. And I really look forward to, you know, keeping in touch with you, and seeing just the amazing career and personal growth that you're going to experience. And again, I just want to say thank you again on behalf of Avant, but also thank you on behalf of our viewers and listeners for just being so open and sharing your story.
Yeah. Thank you. Of course, thank you to Avant. And my last note is always have a grateful heart, and always look back to those people who helped you when you didn't have anything. That's my last note.
Well, I can't top that. So that's what we're going to end on. It's another great episode of Healthcare Heartbeat. Check out our other episodes full of content that can help you become a US-RN. Until next time, thanks again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. This has been Healthcare Heartbeat by Avant Healthcare Professionals. the leader in international healthcare staffing and recruitment, where we change the lives of healthcare professionals every day. To learn more about how our healthcare professionals can help your facility, visit AvantHealthcare.com and be sure to subscribe to this show wherever you get your podcasts.